In just a moment, people are going to start calling us butter because we're about to get on a roll here, my friend, when it comes to a busy weekend in combat sports. And we apologize that we've been away from the podcast airwaves. There are things in the pipeline that we are working on. But, boss, you were in Sin City for the 3rd Annual International Fight Week. It all began for you Thursday, UFC Hall of Fame ceremonies, but we'll get to that in just a moment. I also want to mention, and there is a tie-in to what I'm about to say, 1 week from today, I'm going in for surgery, day surgery, boss, for guess what? Chronic sinusitis. A term that is in the news this weekend.
It is.
After what happened to the UFC 213 main event. Amanda Nunes, the UFC Women's Bantamweight Champion, scheduled to defend the title against Valentina Shevchenko in what was really a highly anticipated fight. As Joe Rogan said on the broadcast, maybe the best technique of any female MMA fight to date in terms of what these two bring to the octagon. But just hours before the fight, boss, Amanda Nunes hospitalized, withdraws from the main event. The 3rd year in a row that the International Fight Week pay-per-view has lost its main event. But Amanda Nunes releasing a statement saying that it was due to her chronic sinusitis. Dana White throwing her under the bus, bro. Why does he react so emotionally? Like, that's your champion who was beating Miesha Tate, demolished Ronda Rousey. You're trying to create new stars, and at the first sign of trouble, Dana seems to want to throw people under the bus. I don't agree with that, and especially not in this case because I have chronic sinusitis. I know that it's not fun. You can't breathe, boss.
By the way, let's go back to you real fast. Is that the reason why Ensign in a way beat you at that moment?
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah,
Ensign, I want a rematch, bro. It was due to my chronic sinusitis that you were able to get off the first blow. But kidding aside,
kidding
boss.
aside, this is the thing. If you're a fighter and you have a lot of pressure built up in your head, yeah, you're going to be afraid. What? You can fly, right? So I don't think that it's a smart thing to get hit.
But it's even just breathing. You're fighting a world-class athlete, 5 rounds potentially, under pressure already, and people immediately saying, oh, she's afraid of Shevchenko. Like I say, for the UFC president to go on record immediately and say she will never headline a main event again, that's just not fair, man. Especially, they said, well, she was medically cleared on Friday, and then he says it's 90% in her head. Yeah, literally in her head. It's her sinuses.
When they rechecked and they saw now she's got medication for the pressure in her head. Yes. So you see, they just simply didn't test for that the first time.
But it can attack you at any time. You've heard me on the podcast before be all stuffed up. Today I'm fine.
No, but like I said before, if you're not even allowed to fly in a plane like that, so you can only imagine when you get hit. It's a dangerous thing. I think plus you fight Valentina Shevchenko, who's a really great striker. You are the champion. Come on.
They fought already once. Nunes dominated the first 2 rounds, gassed in the third. Shevchenko really put it to her in the 3rd round of their first meeting, and that's why this was even more intriguing. People saying, oh, if it would have been a 5-round fight, maybe Shevchenko would have come back and won. But in any event, Amanda Nunes was forced to withdraw. Yep. A lot of people criticizing her for it. I know firsthand what chronic sinusitis is, and she... I don't know how severe the attack was Saturday. We don't know. But it was a medical condition. People can say sinuses and you don't show up to work. Hey, I talk for a living and it's tough. She has to fight, like you said, one of the most formidable opponents she could face in Valentina Shevchenko. So, anyway, we talk about the comeback in their first fight, boss. What about the comeback we saw in the new main event of UFC 213? A star definitely if he wasn't born already, well, no, he was. His career no longer in labor. There's a birth of Robert Whittaker.
Man, he really surprised me. What a heart, what a fighter. He simply didn't care who was in front of him. He just came out, and he had a perfect game plan. The front kicks, I really enjoyed that he was doing. It was clearly to set him up because he knows eventually Yoel Romero is going to gas, and it's a 5-round fight. There's a lot of muscle that he has to carry around. Constantly take the body with those front kicks. Very smart. Yes.
But it didn't look good in the opening, man.
No.
Yoel Romero won the first 2 rounds. We saw the left knee injury to Whittaker early, a pre-existing injury, by the way.
But also with the oblique kick on there, right?
And so the fact that Yoel Romero had him in control the first 2 rounds, had him on less than 100% because of the knee injury. That's what makes the fact that Whittaker came back over the last 3 rounds to record an incredibly dramatic and compelling victory to make himself the #1 contender at 185 pounds. How was he able to do it?
Just constantly smothering. You saw Romero was constantly attacking him, but he was the one who was raining more down more punches and kicks. And every time when he walked in, boom, front kick in the gut, in the gut, in the gut. Interrupt that breathing pattern. Make him flex all the time. Make sure that those muscles in the core start pumping up, just like you would pump up your biceps if you train your biceps, right? You want to push those lungs that are behind your core. You want to make sure that they can't completely breathe in anymore. And once you succeed with that, well, then it goes all downhill from there really fast. But I just like the way he was moving and constantly attacking the high kicks.
But that's what was impressive.
Both of these guys, I mean, flying knees
on one leg. He was able to do this on one leg. That's what. Let's not bury the lead here.
In the head at the end. Remember?
Yeah.
Connect. If that would have been 1 inch, just 1 inch lower, that could have been a knockout.
The will of Robert Whittaker, who becomes, even though I despise interim titles, and there really was no need to make this an interim championship match. The main events are already 5 rounds. Just say it's a title elimination bout, and we'll be fine. But Whittaker now becomes the first Australian to lay claim to being a champion, I guess, as shallow as that is. And, of course, Michael Bisping, who definitely has embraced his pro wrestling heeldom, and he's amazing. I've always thought Michael Bisping, one of the best interviews I've ever had in MMA. He's always giving you quotes. And now moving on as well, doing a lot of television analysis work and acting. He's a really good actor, man. I've seen him in a few films, and there was no acting, though, on Saturday night when he came in and, threw his own belt on the floor at Whittaker. And, of course, Whittaker, can I keep that too? So what do you think about the matchup? Whittaker, Michael Bisping in Australia, where Dana White would love to hold this fight. I mean, that's going to be incredible. And you know what? I pick Whittaker. I'm favoring Whittaker early.
Whittaker looks really good, but Bisping has been surprisingly constantly now beat through 3 greats in a row. Luke Rockhold, and he's got Dan Henderson. That was the last one, right? And before
Anderson Silva.
I mean, he is really on the roll. I can't bet against him anymore. I actually used him in the Hall of Fame induction.
Man, he's
in the Hall of Fame induction.
Oh yeah, what did you say?
Him, because we were talking about Maurice Smith, the striker who became a champion. I say, imagine this. Without Maurice Smith, maybe there would have been a Chuck Liddell. Without Maurice Smith, maybe there would have been a Joanna Jędrzejczyk or Stipe Miocic. Without Maurice Smith, maybe there would have been a Michael Bisping. And everybody got quiet. I say, yeah, ponder on that for a moment. I say, whoa, wait. That would actually be a really good thing, right?
Well, Robert Whittaker and the Australian fans and the Cuban fans think it would be a good thing if there was no Michael Bisping. Tearing up a mini Cuban flag, that's stepping over the line a little bit. I remember when Bernard Hopkins tried to do the same thing with the Puerto Rican flag when he fought Felix Trinidad. Shawn Michaels with the Canadian flag in WWE. There are things that you want to hopefully try to stay away from. I think your patriotism and the flag for which so many people, paid the ultimate price. I think that's a no-fly zone. But that's what they did. That's But anyway, they have already set the table for what is, I think, to me, a more compelling fight than Michael Bisping against George St. Pierre. And to tell you the truth, Dana White says it's not happening. GSP says it's still going to happen. Hey guys, GSP, wait your turn for Woodley and Maia. That's what's going to happen. You can fight for the rightful 170-pound title that you never lost, by the way. You retired as welterweight champion, or whatever else. But no, I want to see Bisping and Whittaker, and Whittaker deserves it.
And GSP, what I've been saying all along, I got to see it to believe it. I still think he's not.
You don't think he's going to fight at all?
That's what I think.
Wow. Yeah. I think, now, buddy, he has to after everything that's been done. But again, I rather, and I'm glad, I'm hoping that they lean towards Robert Whittaker versus Michael Bisping, because when you look at what Whittaker's done, a division-high 8-fight winning streak, he's 26 years of age. You talk about a murderer's row, my friend. He just defeated Yoel Romero and Jacare Souza back-to-back. A lot of us thought those were the 2 guys that had potential to become middleweight champion. So Robert Whittaker, a gutsy, gritty, very impressive performance, and not to take anything away from Romero, who was gracious in defeat, but 40 years old. Imagine if he would have started a lot sooner in his career as well. A Cuban Olympic medalist in wrestling. He's a freak athlete. We know that, but we also know that he's had issues in the past, and I almost think he's too big for the oxygen tank.
You know, what I say is that if I was his coach, I would say, okay, we're going to go for 1 month straight. After every workout, we're going to go 3 or 4 rounds, 5-minute rounds on the back, and you're only allowed to hit everything and kick with your right hand. That's what I would say. Because everything he throws is pretty much with his dominant leg and dominant hand, and he can already do so much damage with that. Imagine that he is well versed with his right leg as well. And I don't mean those setup kicks that he throws, the outside low kicks. They don't really hurt. They're more of a setup. But you know, once you start developing a flying right knee and a good right hand, you know, and start adding right hooks to the repertoire that he already has, dude, he's going to be even more scary.